And welcome to the Daily Space Weather, folks. No time to screw around with music today. Too much stuff to cover. We have an Earth-facing coronal mass ejection and all kinds of other stuff to cover. We're showing you the Earth-facing coronal mass ejection first. It is on Stereo A's coronagraph. And there you have it. It may not fully be released from the corona yet, but there is definitely some ejecta headed toward Earth. And it's too early to even see it on the LASCO C2 or C3. There are the current data from those two Earth-based satellites, or at least in the Earth direction. So we don't see any ejecta yet on those. That's something to look at throughout the day for sure. Sunspot 2757 has actually grown overnight. There is the situation for that as it moves right into the Earth-facing zone. And another active region rises down here in the south. We don't see any umbrae associated with that yet, but it's a little bit early to be looking. Here's a 94 angstroms view, and you can see significant activity down there in the southeast. There are your time and date stamps. Let's zoom in on that active region, which my guess is a sunspot. And we've got lots more analysis coming. Here's the view of Sunspot 2757 on HelioViewer with the magnetogram faded in. So there you see the magnetic complexity. It's still a beta class, and the chance of X-ray flares has gone up a bit. Let's take a quick look at this area down here to see what the fields look like. And you see there are clearly two fields there. You see a black and a white section. My guess would be that that is a sunspot, but in any case, it is cycle 25 activity. Next, we made a video on HelioViewer once again, and that's Sunspot 2757's last several hours, along with the Earth scale. And did you watch all of our videos yesterday? We put up 6 videos yesterday on YouTube. If you haven't checked that out yet, check it out, youtube.com/smAsho. Proton flux remains flatlined. No surprises there. And the X-ray flux has come up off of the ground level a little bit there, with 2 active regions, one of which is already named a sunspot, and one probably about to be named a sunspot. So expect some more X-ray flares coming up. And some of the flares did actually come out, some of the X-ray did come out of the active region down there in the southeast. Let me just rock that ahead. And you see a little bit of brightening there in those regions. So a little bit of activity kicking up here. And the 10.7 centimeter radial flux has come up to 73 solar flux units. So for you new viewers out there, radial flux is a proxy for sunspot number. For instance, on cloudy days when we can't see sunspots from the surface, back in 1947, 10.7 centimeter radial flux was discovered to be almost identical to sunspot number in terms of solar cycles. KP index is at 1, and I'm expecting that to drop down to 0 throughout the day today as we see a very weak solar wind. Solar wind density has dropped off a cliff there. We see an ongoing phi angle there close to 180 degrees. Looks like a coronal hole magnetic connection. Look at the real-time solar wind, and you see this ongoing connection here, probably a coronal hole connection. There is a small coronal hole trailing Sunspot 2757. And you see the solar wind density dropped off a cliff right there. It went from 2.5 to 0.8 protons per cubic centimeter. And at the same time, the solar wind speed actually came up from below 300 to around 320. So there's your solar wind telemetry stuff. And next to the geospace magnetosphere movie, we're going to be seeing a major drop-off of the geomagnetic pressure, the magnetohydrodynamic pressure in the magnetosphere. Right at the end of the video, you're going to see the magnetosphere shrink down as we see very low pressure. And here's a quick glimpse of the density, the current mode. See the way the low density puffs out like that. And there's that extremely weak magnetosphere at the end. We don't see very many geospace magnetic ground perturbations, but we're going to let the data play anyway. And this is 4 hours of data courtesy University of Michigan. Please don't refresh. By the way, you cannot access this data yet, and that's part of the reason why we show you at least 4 hours of it every day on the channel. If you want to see what was happening around this time of day on a previous day, we have hundreds and hundreds of space weather videos. Electron flux is very low, but not as low as it had been, finally coming up off the floor a little bit, at least as measured by the GOES 16. Still very low levels of electron flux. We're expecting GPSs to work quite well, even on the equator at noon. So looking at the ionosphere here, seeing a fairly discharged ionosphere, including on the sun-facing portion. Not particularly anomalous, but we still do see charge-ups at nighttime in the South Pacific, off the west coast of South America, as we've been covering for a solid 6 weeks on the channel. And let's just bring up the latest image here and move on, because there's a lot of stuff to cover yet on this ultra-early Sunday edition. GOES magnetometer seeing some pretty high levels there, as well as some ArcJet data loss, where these things shut themselves down to prevent damage. So pretty high readings there on the GOES magnetometers. And we are in the South Pole-oriented portion of the current sheet, and that might change with that rising active region in the southeast. That could cause a North Pole charge up of the current sheet portion that the Earth is in. So that's something to keep an eye on throughout the day also. Anyway, this data 1 hour and 54 minutes old. Just keep in mind, folks, the magnetic environment can change with absolutely no warning. Update on the Turkey earthquake. Magnitude 6.8, at least 22 killed and over 1,000 injured, as we see a collapse building there. We've left links to the article from the watchers. And we saw another 6.1 magnitude earthquake out in the Aleutian Islands. There's a location of that quake. Let's go to the list on USGS and look at the last 24 in its entirety. We see a little uptick in earthquakes here, pretty much all around the world. We're just going to scroll up the list. There's another deep quake at Peru. Western South America still being my favorite place for the next 7+ magnitude quake, as we've been seeing some very deep quakes there. And just scrolling up the list, I saw Puerto Rico was hit again, adding insult to injury to the American possession. Small deep quake at Alaska once again. We've been seeing several deep earthquakes in that area, south central Alaska. Here's a deep quake at Indonesia at a 5.0 magnitude and 102 kilometers depth. So a bit of an earthquake uptick, including deep quakes, folks. There's a 5.0 in Western South America once again, Argentina at 177 kilometers. Heads up Western South America for a larger quake at the surface. There's that 5.0 at Puerto Rico. Here's a very shallow quake on Hawaii. And just scrolling. Lots of quakes, folks, in the past 24. Another deep quake in Indonesia, that one at 269 kilometers at a 4.3 magnitude. Another deep quake at Alaska. A deep quake in Nicaragua, 4.7 magnitude and 164 kilometers depth. So a bit of an uptick in earthquakes there, folks. Only 1 over 6 magnitude. Did you hear what we said yesterday about Mauna Loa? The largest active volcano in the world has had its alert level changed to yellow. And we've been covering earthquakes that are thousands of meters above sea level, clearly in the magma chambers of Mauna Loa. And let's look at the pressure maps here on windy.com. We're just going to let that advance about 24 hours to about 12 universal time tomorrow. And overall, pressure is quite low on the planet. Very low amounts of high pressure zones. I don't know what's up with that, but there's where things will be at 1300 Zulu, otherwise known as Greenwich Mean Time or Universal Time tomorrow. The Philippines has lowered the alert level for Taal volcano This article from the Herald will also be below the video. And hundreds of thousands of people are returning home. Let's hope that thing doesn't go off with 376,000 displaced villagers returning to their homes. Apparently the magmatic tremors have dropped. So the alert level dropped for that. And there's a close-up of that extremely aquatic-oriented area. And that's right at the shoreline of the volcanic lake in which the volcano Tal lies. See if we can get you some more images. There's the caldera. And there's a bunch of ash all over everything. I assume they've got some pretty fertile growing regions there. And let's look at the last 24 volcanoes. Mount Aso erupting. Possible activity at least. Semeru, flight level 14,000 there. Dakono, flight level 7,000 there. Sangay, volcanic ash cloud as it explodes to 20,000 feet. Flight level 16,000 as Revenador explodes, and Sabancaya unable to detect. Please don't attempt to pole vault the caldera. Is the Earth, is there another Black Plague style thing coming, folks? Is China causing it with their incredibly cruel techniques for dealing with animals? Well, apparently the Wuhan animal markets are being blamed as they sell various exotic animals in ridiculously horrible conditions. Perhaps some chickens coming home to roost for the excessive animal cruelty in China. Let's hope it doesn't lead to a global pandemic and lots more cases showing up of the Wuhan coronavirus. If you haven't checked out smAsho.com/forum, we've got a long section about it, talking all about coronavirus. Did you know the common cold is a coronavirus? Next, let's get back to some meteorological stuff. Here's where the lightning's striking. We've got some lightning striking the central U.S. There's the latest bolt. Hey, Hugo, Oklahoma. There's thunder rolling in. Check out lightningmaps.org, viewers. Next time you hear thunder, you'll be amazed at how awesome it is. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it won't be. Here's the U.S. Doppler radar map. And it looks like I may be driving into snow today as I head to central Pennsylvania from my location here in the Lehigh Valley. Some very odd water vapor patterns forming here. We'll show you in a minute. And let's just take a close-up of Pennsylvania for once. And that's not the right map. I got to be over here. There we go. That's not the right map either. Come on, Weather Underground. Help me out. What is the deal? Binghamton, New York? Nope. Anyway, I'm done with that. Let's look at the water vapor map. If this thing refreshes, thank you very much. And you see these odd water vapor patterns up here, especially in the north central U.S. Those are very odd, folks. And let's just look at this area over Oklahoma, since that's where the lightning's striking. And there's that violent convergence zone happening there. If you're flying a plane over that area, expect some turbulence, to say the least. And if you got clear skies around that area, go take a photograph of the clouds and perhaps send it to Mr. MBB333, where he'll think lens flare is Nibiru and various other ridiculous things like that gravitational waves, the kind measured by LIGO, are causing clouds to form. One of the dumbest ideas I've heard on YouTube in quite a while. There's the jet streams of the Western world, and man, oh man, they are all over the place. Look at them splitting up here over the central Atlantic. Extreme meridional jet stream flow at its finest. Here's the Eastern world's jet streams, and let's move on. There's a lot more things to cover yet. Let's go. By the way, please press like and subscribe on YouTube if you enjoy the content. Share with your friends and your foes, perhaps on social media. Consider becoming a patron and support our various missions that are happening in the year 2020. We're going to be producing shirts and all kinds of other things. So check out smAsho.org. And perhaps get involved in crypto trading. Do you have a cryptocurrency account? If not, perhaps get a Coinbase account. Use our link. You'll earn $10 of free crypto. And there are also various other ways to earn crypto for free just by learning about it. So it's all free, folks. We've got a link below the video. Click on that, and we may even share some insider tips about cryptocurrency investing. So check out smAsho.org. Scroll down. Go to the forum, perhaps put up a post. I see some new posts in here. I'll have to get to those a little later. In the meantime, let's get to the cosmology segment. And we've got plenty of stuff to cover yet, folks. Don't get bored. First, let's look at the location of things like planets in the solar system. There's where they'll be in a week, on February 2nd. As Venus swings around to this lonely side of the sun, where all the planets are on the other side. Here's what's going on above my head. Let me just hit refresh real quick. And it is currently 3:30. Do you know where your constellations are? I like to use in-the-sky.org and perhaps make yourself a sky chart if you see fit. Now, last night we watched Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping. I thought it was good. Now, I love Andy Samberg. I think he's hilarious. And so we're giving this a good review. It was a little slow-moving at parts, but quite funny in terms of making fun of the industry and boy bands and pop music in general. A lot of ridiculous songs. I can't remember what that one was about, but it's highly recommended. Wasn't even aware that this movie existed until the Daily Wire informed me of it. So perhaps check this one out. We rented it. It cost us $4, and I say it was worth it. Again, Andy Samberg, hilarious, and lots of good pokes at pop music. So perhaps check that out if you like. It was all it was cracked up to be. Happy Year of the Rat, as we failed to talk about the Chinese calendar New Year, which happened yesterday. So happy belated New Year. If you want to learn all about the Chinese years, the Chinese calendars and so on, the zodiac, there's all the information. You want to figure out what year, what animal you were. The Year of the Rat. Let's hope it's not the year of a global pandemic. Happy New Year from the Hubble Space Telescope. Here's the images from them. I'm going to mute this. And yeah, Happy Year of the Rat, folks. Now, this is the mice galaxies here, the two merging galaxies that are known as the mice, NGC 4676A and B. Perhaps check out the SciTech Daily article and view that yourselves. Thanks, Smash Team, for tuning in to the Ultra Early Edition. Whether you viewed the live premiere or not, thanks for tuning in, Smash Team. We've got bonus features. But first, please take a moment to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, as the channel is growing by leaps and bounds in all kinds of different ways. Here is a close-up of the intensity gram of the current state of affairs of Sunspot 2757. We'll zoom back out a little bit here. And looking at this active region rising, which I'm expecting to be Sunspot 2758. No umbra visible yet. It's right around this area. And I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 umbrae come out of that. Here's the colorized magnetogram. First we'll look at this active region, and you can see 2 fields there. They're looking kind of weak, but it's not really facing Earth yet. So there are the fields associated with Sunspot 2757, and it is solidly a beta class. As you can see, it's got this very consistent field in the leading edge and in the trailing edge. And we see some building up here behind the trailing umbra also. So this thing's been growing over the past 24. It wouldn't be any surprise to see it continue to do so. Let's do a 48-hour video. And it's my personal favorite wavelength, folks, the 171 view. That's 171 angstroms. And let's zoom in a bit. To see the last 48 hours of the entire life cycle of Sunspot 2757, as well as this active region. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We are out. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink it. If you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that atherosclerosis absent from your veins.